Hello everyone, this is Cartesian Caramel covering the geometry node changes for Blender 5.2. This is a big update with many features, so let's get started. This release comes with a new physics system focusing on hair and cloth. Two new modifiers powered by the new XBBD solver node have been added, cloth dynamics and hair dynamics. These are generalized systems that allow for custom forces. While they are still experimental, users are recommended to try them and give feedback for future releases. Bundles can now be attached to geometry, allowing for arbitrary data to be passed across modifier and object boundaries, using the new setGeometry bundle and getGeometry bundle nodes. Data attached to geometry can be seen in the spreadsheet. Lists are a new core data type that allows storing a sequence of arbitrary data and come with several new nodes. Field2List creates a new list by evaluating index-dependent fields. Closure2List creates a new list by evaluating a closure that has an index input. ListLength outputs the length of a list. GetListItem outputs an individual item. FilterList creates a new list if a boolean is true or false. SortList sorts based on a custom weight. The new Collection Children node uses lists to output the child objects and collections of a given collection with an option for recursion. A new sound socket type has been added. This is used by the new Sample Sound Frequencies node, which uses an imported sound to output the amplitude as a float. It can also sample frequency ranges, which allows for creating sound spectrum animations. Empty objects can now have geometry nodes. This is useful for effects that don't require original data, and this also allows geometry nodes to be used on collection instances. The building blocks of the Merge by Distance node are now available individually as three new nodes. Merge Points combines point or mesh vertices with the same group ID, Cluster by Distance creates group IDs for close points, and Cluster by Connected creates group IDs for close vertices connected by edges. The new Mesh Bevel node has been added. It is similar to the Bevel modifier and provides more detailed control. Attributes have three new nodes. Rename attribute allows renaming a single attribute or all attributes with a specific prefix. GetAttributeNames outputs a list of the names of attributes in a geometry, optionally filtered by domain and data type. TransferAttribute can transfer an arbitrary number of attributes from one geometry to another. The CaptureAttribute node now supports selection. This improves efficiency when an attribute value is only required by a subset of elements. Attributes can now be stored as 4D float vectors, though geometry node still only operates on 3D vectors. Curves have two new nodes. SetNurb's order controls how many curve points influence each evaluated point, and SetNurb's weight controls the influence of each control point. Strings have four new nodes. TrimString removes specific characters at the start or end. ReverseString reverses the order of the characters. SplitString splits text into a list based on a delimiter, and SetStringCase turns strings into upper or lowercase. The value to string and string to value nodes now have a base input which specifies the number system used when converting to and from integers. The findInString node can now find the first occurrence from the end. String fields are now supported, but keep in mind string attributes are not yet implemented. The default for a node group input can now be the scene frame or self object. 6 new bundled assets have been added. 3D to screen space transforms 3D coordinates from world to normalized camera space. Screen to 3D space is the inverse of this. Transform and project computes 2D coordinates in screen space. Project with depth transforms coordinates from the viewport 3D space to screen space and back. Principal components analyzes a position vector field, and geometry principal components analyzes on a specific input geometry. In miscellaneous updates, the new instance reference node outputs the internal attribute which shows what geometry set index each instance is referencing. The new getGeometry component node extracts a single component of a geometry. The compare node now supports comparing data blocks. The boneInfo node now has an exists output, and the viewer node can show data block names. Lastly, closures can now be called recursively up to a limit. A new call stack depth limit for geometry nodes can be configured in the user preferences. Node tool inputs are remembered between operator invocations and can now be assigned in Python. Internal fields are now deduplicated for evaluation. This can speed up nodes that are used multiple times, like sample UV surface. Sampling nodes have improved performance when they can avoid conversions to the face corner domain. That was a lot of condensed information, but you should be able to learn it before the next release. I hope you all enjoyed this overview of the changes and additions to geometry nodes in Blender 5.2.